No nanny ever lasted more than a week with the Millionaire CEO's twins until she showed up and did what no one ever imagined. Before we start the story, leave a comment telling us what city you're watching from. And at the end, don't forget to rate this story from 0 to 10. Enjoy. Layla Torres was late, hair a mess, shoelace untied, apron stained with ketchup, and for some unexplained reason, a piece of gum stuck to her elbow. First day as nanny to the most reclusive millionaire in Seattle, and I look like a hot dog after a tornado, she muttered, running along the sidewalk toward the huge iron gate of the Whitmore mansion. She took a deep breath, pressed the doorbell, and when no one answered, simply pushed the gate open. She walked in. The mansion looked like a five-star hotel. Cold, elegant, and so quiet she could hear her own embarrassment. Until, vroom! Yes, go, go! To the chandelier, to the chandelier. Layla's eyes widened. In the living room, two identical boys about 6 years old were running in circles with a drone tied to rolls of toilet paper. The drone was heading straight for the crystal chandelier, probably worth more than her car. Layla screamed. The drone hit the chandelier. The chandelier swung like it was in an earthquake. The boys shouted "yeah" and clapped as if they had just won the world championship of mischief. She froze. "Hi, I'm the new nanny." "You're late," said the boy in the dinosaur t-shirt. "And you look like a dirty hamburger," added the other, pointing at her stained apron. Layla tried to breathe. "You must be Max and Leo, right? And I'm Layla, the nanny who was just humiliated by two miniature gremlins." While she picked up the toilet paper off the floor, she heard heavy footsteps on the stairs. A tall man in a perfectly tailored gray suit came down, looking like he had just read 3 contracts and swallowed an entire meeting. "You are the new nanny?" he barked. Layla stood up, pulled the gum off her elbow, straightened her blouse, and answered, "I am. And you really need a green juice. Those dark circles are screaming. I haven't slept since 2010. Max and Leo grinned mischievously. The man crossed his arms. "Ryan Blake, CEO, father, and I hate green juice. Layla Torres, nanny, Latina, and a firm believer in detox juice in stressful environments." Stressful environment? The drone crashed to the floor with a lonely beep. Layla pointed at it. "Case closed." Minutes later, Ryan was already in his office on the phone, saying words like emergency meeting, $1 million merger, and shareholders won't accept delays. Layla was trying to convince the twins to tidy up the toys in the living room when Max whispered something in Leo's ear. They shared a knowing look and turned toward the hallway. "Secret mission. Operation Push," said Max. "Ready, aim, push." Before Layla could react, the two shoved her hard down the hallway. She stumbled straight into the office door, losing her balance just as Ryan, back-turned, was deep in a phone call. "What the?" The door slammed shut behind her. Locked. Outside they heard, "Now you two can talk. Just the two of you. And maybe fall in love." Layla stared at the door. Then at the man now slowly ending his call. "Please tell me this isn't happening," Ryan muttered. "It is, and with ketchup on my shoulder," she said, pointing to her clothes. "My kids locked you in here?" "Yes. And you too, technically." He sighed and folded his arms. "This has never happened before. Being locked in with a woman covered in condiments or your kids playing little cupids." He looked at her. For the first time, without irritation. "They haven't laughed in months. Since their mother passed away, they've been quiet, closed off." Layla's expression softened. "I'm not a psychologist, but I do have a doctorate in making kids smile. And trust me, I'm not that easy to knock down. Not even by killer drones." Ryan exhaled deeply. "I thought you were going to quit. I thought about it. When they pushed me in here, I figured my contract was about to go up in flames. But, they laughed, and that's worth more than any shareholder meeting." Ryan studied Layla for a moment. A curious moment, a silent moment. Outside, Max and Leo pressed their ears to the door. "They're talking. Operation New Mom is going better than expected." A few minutes later, the house security guard unlocked the door with a spare key. Ryan walked out first. Serious, but a little less stern. Layla followed, adjusting her messy bun. She was already bracing herself to be fired, but then she heard something unexpected. "They laughed," Ryan said, looking straight at her. For the first time in a long time, she stood still, not sure if it was a compliment or a warning, but before he left, he added, "And you still have ketchup on your shoulder." Layla smiled. This was a beginning. A messy, funny beginning, but maybe just the kind of beginning she needed. At 8:30 that night, something unusual happened at the Whitmore mansion. Silence. Not the tense kind of silence Ryan knew well, where the twins pretended to sleep until he left the room and then started another pillow fight. This silence was peaceful. Ryan walked up the stairs slowly, ready to find the new nanny quitting or, at the very least, crying in a corner. Instead, he found the bedroom door slightly open and a scene that made him stop in the middle of the hallway. Max and Leo were fast asleep in their beds, tucked in up to their necks, with calm expressions he hadn't seen in months. And there, in a chair between the two beds, was Layla Torres, her head tilted to the side, asleep too. She had taken off her shoes and pulled her legs up onto the chair. One hand still held an open children's book on her lap. Her curly hair had come loose from the messy bun and framed her relaxed face. Ryan stood in the doorway longer than he wanted to admit. When was the last time the boys slept without waking up crying at 2 in the morning? When was the last time someone helped them relax enough to just sleep? He grabbed a blanket from the closet and gently covered Layla. She mumbled something in Spanish in her sleep and snuggled deeper into the chair. Ryan went downstairs to his office but couldn't focus on anything. Every half hour, he went up to check if everything was okay. And it was. The three of them slept like angels. For the first time in months, Ryan slept through the night. The next morning, Layla came down to the kitchen, yawning and rubbing her sore neck. "Morning, Sleeping Beauty," Ryan said, looking up from his coffee cup. "How's your back?" "Complaining a lot, thanks for asking." But the boys slept all night, so every cramp was worth it. Ryan watched her pour coffee into a unicorn-shaped mug the twins had insisted on buying. "Layla, I need to tell you something." She sat at the kitchen table, still a bit sleepy. "If you're gonna fire me, at least wait till I finish this coffee. I need to be wide awake to job hunt again." "It's not that. It's about last night." Layla frowned. "I fell asleep in their room, didn't I? Sorry, I didn't mean to." "They slept through the night," Ryan interrupted. "No waking up, no crying, no nightmares." "Yeah, so?" Ryan set his cup down on the table. "Layla, you're the 9th nanny I've hired in 6 months. The other 8, they all quit. The last one didn't even come back to collect her pay." Layla stopped sipping her coffee. "Seriously? Max and Leo haven't slept well since the accident. They woke up crying every night. Nightmares, night terrors. Nothing could calm them down." He ran a hand through his hair, looking tired. "I tried everything. Pediatricians, child therapists, natural remedies, music therapy, nothing worked. And the nannies, they couldn't handle it. Some didn't even last a week." Layla watched him as he spoke, seeing the exhausted father behind the controlling CEO for the first time. "And last night was the first time they slept through the night?" "In 8 months, Ryan confirmed. "What did you do?" Layla shrugged. "I talked to them about important stuff, like which dinosaur would win in a fight against a dragon, and if unicorns eat pizza. Then I read them 3 stories, sang one of my grandma's songs in Spanish, and promised I'd be here when they woke up. That's it. Sometimes the most complicated things have very simple solutions." Before Ryan could say anything, there was a loud burst of laughter from upstairs, followed by the sound of running feet in the hallway. "Layla! Layla! Where are you? Let's play pirates." Or astronauts, or astronaut pirates. The twins came down the stairs like a whirlwind of morning energy. Max was wearing his cap backward and mismatched socks. Leo had somehow put his shirt on upside down. "Well, boys, you're ready to take on the world this morning," Layla said, opening her arms. They ran to her and threw themselves into a group hug that almost knocked over her chair. "Dad, Layla is the best nanny in the universe," Max declared. "The whole universe," Leo agreed. "She can do dragon voices and princess voices." Ryan watched the scene. When was the last time the boys ran down the stairs with that kind of excitement? When was the last time they called someone the best in the universe without being sarcastic? "Hey, how about we have some breakfast?" Layla suggested. "But first, let's fix those outfits." "Leo, your shirt's upside down." "I know. It's space fashion." "Oh, of course. Why didn't I think of that?" While Layla helped the boys get organized, Ryan was trying to switch back into serious CEO mode, but it was hard to ignore the cheerful energy filling the house. At breakfast, Layla turned the meal into an adventure. She gave the staff silly titles. The gardener became Master of Golden Leaves, and the housekeeper was Princess of Imperial Order, making Max and Leo laugh so hard they nearly choked on their cereal. "What about you, Dad?" Leo asked. "What's your special name?" Ryan looked up from the tablet where he was checking emails. "I don't need a Baron of Endless Coffee," Layla announced, pointing to the cup Ryan had just filled for the 4th time. "Lord of Eternal Meetings, Emperor of the serious face," Max added, copying his dad's stern look. Leo burst out laughing. Ryan tried to stay serious, but the corners of his mouth twitched. "Very funny," he muttered. "Dad, come play with us in the hallway," Leo asked. "I have a meeting in just 5 minutes," Max begged. "Layla taught us a new dance." "Dance?" Ryan raised an eyebrow. "It's a mix of robot and flamingo," Layla explained like it was the most normal thing in the world. "Very effective for chasing away morning grumpiness." "I'm not grumpy in the morning." Layla, Max, and Leo looked at each other and laughed at the same time. "Of course not," Layla said with a wink. "You're a walking ray of sunshine." Ryan sighed and went back to his tablet. But 2 minutes later, he heard music coming from the hallway and laughter echoing through the whole house. He got up to see what was going on and found Layla dancing with the twins in the middle of the hall. She had tied a napkin around her head like a pirate scarf and was waving her arms in a crazy rhythm the boys were trying to copy. "Now it's the flamingo part," Layla shouted, lifting one leg. Max and Leo tried to follow and almost fell over, laughing. "Dad, come dance," Leo called, waving him over. "I don't dance," Ryan said. "Everyone dances," Layla replied. "Some people just forget how." For a second, Ryan just stood there, watching his kids laugh in a way he hadn't seen in a long time. But before he could give in to the urge to join them, the phone rang. "Meeting," he muttered, heading back to the kitchen. An hour later, Ryan was in his office, trying to focus on a video call about acquisitions when Layla walked in carrying a tray. "Sorry to interrupt, Baron of Endless Coffee, but you forgot to have lunch." She set the tray on the table. There was a sandwich, fruit cut into star shapes, and a steaming cup of coffee. "I didn't ask for. The boys did. They said you forget to eat when you're working." Ryan looked at the food, then at Layla. "They said that?" "Among other things, like how you work really late and sometimes sleep in the office. It's temporary, just until I close a few big deals." "Sure," Layla said, though it didn't sound like she believed him. She was already walking out when Ryan called after her. "Layla." "Yes?" "Thank you. For breakfast, for making them laugh, for helping them sleep." She smiled. "You're welcome, but you still haven't signed my contract. Technically, I'm still just a well-meaning intruder." Ryan glanced at his laptop where the employment contract had been open for 2 days. "That's true. Except..." A loud crash came from the kitchen, followed by laughter and 2 voices yelling, "Sorry!" "Let me guess," Ryan said. "Slime workshop?" "How'd you know?" "Because there's pink glitter on your eyebrow." Layla quickly wiped her face. "The kitchen might look a little colorful, but I promise it all comes off with warm water and patience." Ryan sighed. Under normal circumstances, he would have been upset. His Italian marble kitchen turning into a kid's art lab? Unthinkable. But then he heard Max shouting, "Dad, come see the slime Layla showed us. It's purple and makes a funny sound." Ryan froze. When was the last time they included him in something that wasn't a parenting duty? Layla noticed the look on his face. "They want you to be part of it, Ryan. They just don't know how to ask." "I don't know anything about slime. No one's born knowing. You learn by making a mess." "Dad, come make slime with us." "Yeah, come play," Leo added. An hour later, they were all covered in colorful slime and laughing like crazy. Ryan had green slime in his hair. Max's hands were purple to the wrists. Leo had somehow stuck pink slime to his ear, and Layla looked like she'd walked through a rainbow explosion. "Dad, are you going to hire Layla forever?" Leo asked, stirring the slime with a spoon. "Please?" Max begged. "She's the coolest babysitter ever." Ryan looked at Layla, who was trying to get slime out of her hair. "Well, we haven't signed the official contract yet." "Then sign it," the 2 shouted. "Now," Max added, "or we'll go on strike," Leo finished. "Strike from what?" Layla laughed. "From everything. We won't eat, sleep, or play anymore. And we'll make a lot of noise." Leo banged the spoon against the bowl. Ryan let out an exaggerated sigh. "You're using emotional blackmail. Is it working?" Max asked, winking. "Unfortunately, yes," Layla rushed to her bag and pulled out a crumpled piece of paper. Here, temporary contract I prepared yesterday. Ryan took the paper and read it quickly. It was simple but well written. Looks fair. He picked up a pen. But there's one condition. What is it? Max suddenly appeared holding a heart-shaped cookie they had made earlier. You have to sign while eating this, he said. It's a family tradition, Leo added. We just made it up. Ryan looked at the pink cookie with colorful sprinkles. You invented a tradition? Yes, they said in unison. Layla laughed. Go ahead, Mr. Whitmore. Traditions are sacred. Ryan took a bite of the cookie, which was surprisingly good, and signed the contract. There. Now you have an official nanny. Max and Leo celebrated by making slime fly everywhere. After the kitchen was somewhat cleaned and the boys went off to play in the living room, Layla was getting ready to leave when she noticed a door at the end of the hallway that was always closed. That room there, she pointed. Why is it always locked? Ryan, who was putting away some papers, tensed up. It's just a room we don't use. Oh, Layla shrugged. It must need some fresh air. Closed rooms start to smell musty. Layla, that room. But she was already gone, waving cheerfully and promising to come back the next day with fun surprises. Ryan stood still, staring at the closed door at the end of the hall. Some secrets were harder to explain than others. The next day, Layla arrived at the Whitmore mansion with contagious energy and a bag full of surprises. She had promised the twins she would bring fun surprises, and she wasn't one to break promises. Good morning, Whitmore family, she called out as she entered, making Max and Leo run downstairs like two miniature hurricanes. Layla, what did you bring? Max asked, trying to peek inside the bag. Is it a surprise, or can we take a little look? Leo added, making a puppy dog face. Patience, my curious ones. First breakfast, then guaranteed fun. Ryan came down the stairs impeccably dressed, tie straight, and looking like he had only slept 4 hours. Good morning, Baron of Endless Coffee, Layla greeted cheerfully. How many cups so far today? Only 3, Ryan replied, grabbing his fourth. Only 3? You're holding back. During breakfast, Layla revealed her surprises: painting kits, jewelry-making supplies, and ingredients for decorated cookies. The twins were thrilled. We're going to turn this house into an art studio, she announced. What if we make macaroni necklaces? Max suggested. Or beaded bracelets, Leo added. Ryan watched his son's excitement while trying to review contracts on his tablet. The house was becoming more colorful and louder, and completely different from the controlled environment he was used to. Dad, are you going to join the art activities? Leo asked hopefully. Maybe later. I have an important meeting in half an hour. You always have an important meeting, Max muttered, stirring his cereal. Ryan looked up from his tablet, but before he could answer, Layla stepped in. How about we let the Emperor of Business work while we create revolutionary masterpieces? An hour later, the living room had turned into a full-fledged art studio. Max was painting an abstract canvas that looked like a rainbow explosion. Leo was stringing colorful bead necklaces, and Layla supervised them while humming a song in Spanish. That's when Layla's curiosity got the better of her. She had noticed that mysterious door at the end of the hallway since her first day. Ryan always changed the subject when she asked about it, which only made her more curious. While the boys were absorbed in their creations, she decided to take a quick peek. Keep painting, boys. I'm going to get more paint upstairs, she fibbed, walking casually down the hall. The door wasn't locked, just closed. Layla turned the knob slowly and pushed it open. The room before her was like a time capsule. Everything was perfectly preserved. Clothes still hanging in the closet, beauty products neatly arranged on the vanity, photographs scattered across the dresser. It was clearly a woman's room. In the center of the vanity sat a delicate, clearly expensive porcelain vase, decorated with hand-painted flowers. Next to it were photographs of a beautiful woman with Max and Leo when they were younger. Layla walked in slowly, drawn in by the feeling of the room. It felt like a sanctuary, lovingly preserved with equal parts love and pain. She stepped closer to the vanity to take a better look at the photos when she heard footsteps in the hallway. Panicked, she turned quickly and bumped into the vase. Everything happened in slow motion. The vase flew off the vanity, turned in the air, and shattered on the hardwood floor with a crash that echoed through the entire house. Oh no, no, no! Layla whispered, crouching down to try to gather the pieces. "What are you doing in here?" Ryan's voice boomed through the house like thunder. He was standing in the doorway, his face red with anger and his fists clenched. Layla stood up slowly, porcelain pieces in her hands. "Ryan, I can explain. You went into my wife's room," he shouted, storming into the room. "And you broke her favorite vase. I didn't know it was an accident." "An accident?" "You walked into a room you had no business being in." Layla took a deep breath, trying to stay calm. "Look, I get that you're upset, but it was just a vase. Come on, you're a billionaire. Buy another one on eBay." Ryan was speechless. He had expected tears, desperate apologies, maybe even a resignation. Not such a practical reply. "Just a vase?" he repeated in disbelief. "Yes, an object. One that can be replaced. That vase was the last birthday gift I gave her before." Ryan's voice broke. Layla's expression softened, finally realizing the weight of what she had done. "Ryan? Dad? Layla?" Max appeared at the door, followed by Leo. "Why are there people yelling?" The boys looked at the broken porcelain on the floor and their father's distressed face. "Dad, are you okay?" Leo asked, concerned. "I broke something important to your dad," Layla said honestly. "Something that belonged to your mom." Max and Leo looked at each other and, without a word, ran off. Ryan bent down and picked up one of the bigger pieces of the vase, running his finger along the broken edge. She collected antique porcelain. This one was her favorite. "Ryan, I'm really sorry. Truly, I shouldn't have gone in here." Before he could respond, Max and Leo came running back, holding handfuls of colorful modeling clay. "Dad, we're gonna make a new vase," Max announced. "Just like Mom's," Leo added. "Only better, because it'll have glitter." The boys sat on the floor and started shaping the clay with determination. Max worked on the base, Leo focused on the sides. "It's going to be beautiful," Leo said. "And it won't break because clay is strong. And we'll make colorful flowers," Max added. "Mom liked flowers, right, Dad?" Ryan watched his sons working together to fix what had been broken, their small fingers carefully creating something new. "She loved flowers," he said, his voice softer now. Layla sat down beside them. "Can I help?" "I promise not to break anything this time." Max and Leo giggled. "Sure, you can do the little leaves." Half an hour later, they had created a colorful clay vase, decorated with pink and purple flowers, green leaves, and tiny gold stars. "All done," Leo announced proudly. "The new Whitmore family vase, upgraded version," Max added. Ryan picked up the creation gently. It was imperfect, lopsided, and absolutely beautiful. "It's different," he said. "Different can be good," Layla replied softly. At that moment, looking at a woman wearing watermelon print socks and with green paint in her hair, Ryan realized something unsettling. He was starting to like her. Or was it just gratitude? Because she made the boys laugh? Because she had brought life back into this quiet house? Because she wasn't afraid of messes or awkward moments? Before he could sort out his confusing thoughts, his phone rang. "Ryan Whitmore," he answered automatically. "My dear son-in-law." A familiar, grand voice rang through the line. "I'm calling from the Swiss Alps to let you know I'm coming back." Ryan closed his eyes. "Lady Margaret." "Hello, Margaret. How was the trip?" "Refreshing, but I missed my grandchildren. I'll be arriving tomorrow to stay a while and see how the children are doing. I hope you've hired a proper nanny this time." Ryan looked over at Layla, who was helping Leo add even more glitter to the vase. "Yes, proper is one way to put it." "Wonderful. See you tomorrow, dear." Ryan hung up and sighed deeply. "Trouble?" Layla asked. "My mother-in-law, she's coming back tomorrow. And that's a bad thing because Lady Margaret has very strong opinions about how things should be." Layla looked around the room, full of paint, clay, and glitter scattered everywhere. "I think tomorrow's going to be interesting." Ryan looked at the Whitmore family's new vase and had the strange feeling that his life was about to get even more complicated. And for the first time in a long while, that didn't completely scare him. The next morning, the Whitmore mansion was in full chaos. Ryan had woken up at 5 a.m. to get the house ready before Lady Margaret arrived, while Layla tried to convince Max and Leo to wear presentable clothes. "Why do we have to wear these boring clothes?" Max complained, staring at the dress shirt his dad had picked out. "Because Grandma Margaret likes kids who look like little adults," Ryan explained, adjusting his tie for the third time. That's really weird, Leo muttered, struggling with his shirt buttons. Layla watched all the running around with amusement. She had swapped her usual colorful outfit for something more appropriate, a navy blouse and black pants. Still, she couldn't resist wearing pineapple print socks. Relax, guys. She's just a grandma, not the Queen of England, she said, helping Leo with his buttons. You don't know Lady Margaret, Ryan murmured. She has very strong opinions about everything. At exactly 10 o'clock, a black limousine pulled up in front of the mansion. The driver quickly got out to open the back door, and out stepped an elegant woman in her 60s, dressed as if she were heading to tea with British royalty. Lady Margaret walked like the ground should be honored to touch her feet. She wore a beige tweed suit, pearls around her neck, a matching hat, and an expression that suggested the entire world was just slightly below her standards. "My darling grandchildren," she exclaimed in a strong British accent, opening her arms. Max and Leo ran to greet her, clearly uncomfortable in their dressy clothes but happy to see their grandma. "Grandma Margaret," they shouted together. "Let me look at you." She inspected them from head to toe. "Much better. You finally look like proper little gentlemen." Ryan stepped forward to greet his mother-in-law. "Margaret, how was your trip?" "Refreshing, dear. The Alps were exactly what I needed after that dreadful time." She glanced around the house with approval. "The house looks well kept. At least that hasn't changed." That's when Lady Margaret noticed Layla standing near the stairs. "And this young woman is?" "Lady Margaret, this is Layla Torres, the boy's new nanny," Ryan said. Lady Margaret looked Layla up and down with the same scrutiny one might use to inspect suspicious seafood. "This is the new nanny?" she asked with clear disapproval. "She looks like a children's party entertainer." The silence that followed was so heavy you could have cut it with a knife. Max and Leo looked nervously between their grandmother and Layla. Layla took a deep breath, forced a smile, and said, "And you look like a Disney villain." Ryan choked. Max and Leo's eyes went wide. Lady Margaret stood speechless. How dare you? Grandma Layla's really nice," Max said quickly. "She makes slime and teaches us funny dances," Leo added. "Slime?" Lady Margaret turned to Ryan as if he had committed some kind of national betrayal. "Ryan, dear, this person is corrupting my grandchildren with sticky substances. Margaret, she's really good with the boys." "Good? She's completely inappropriate. Just look at her. Casual clothes, messy hair, and I'm almost certain I saw pineapples on her socks." "They are pineapples," Layla confirmed cheerfully. "And in case you're wondering, yesterday I wore watermelon socks." Lady Margaret turned to Ryan with military determination. "Ryan, I insist you dismiss this person immediately. My grandchildren need proper influences, not some household clown." Ryan looked visibly torn. On one hand, Margaret was family and had always played a big role in the boys' lives. On the other hand, Layla had done something no one else could. She'd helped Max and Leo sleep peacefully again and made them laugh like they hadn't in ages. "Margaret, maybe we should discuss this privately." "No!" Max and Leo shouted in unison. "Layla can't leave," Max said. "She's the best nanny in the world," Leo added. Then, to everyone's surprise, the twins ran out of the room. "Boys, come back here," Ryan called. 10 minutes later, after searching the whole house, they found Max and Leo curled up in the trunk of Ryan's car, hugging each other with tears in their eyes. "What are you doing in there?" Layla asked, concerned. "If Grandma makes you leave, we're running away too," Max declared bravely. "We don't want another nanny," Leo sobbed. Lady Margaret watched the scene with an unreadable expression. "Children, get out of there immediately. It's far too hot in the trunk." "Only if Layla stays," Max bargained. Before anyone could respond, an orange and clearly annoyed cat appeared out of nowhere and leapt straight onto Lady Margaret's back. "Ah! Get this animal off me!" she screamed, trying to shake off the cat that had its claws sunk into her tweed jacket. Everyone froze except Layla, who acted quickly. She calmly stepped forward, took hold of the cat firmly but gently, and lifted it off the lady's back. "Shh, kitty, it's okay," she murmured, stroking the animal's head. "You just wanted some attention, didn't you?" The cat immediately relaxed and began to purr in her arms. Lady Margaret was out of breath, her hair mussed and with small scratches on her neck. "My goodness, that wild creature. Let me take a look at those scratches," Layla said, handing the cat to Max. Ryan, do you have cotton and antiseptic? Minutes later, Layla was carefully cleaning the scratches on Lady Margaret's neck with cotton soaked in antiseptic. It might sting a little, Layla warned gently, but it's important to clean them well to prevent infection. Lady Margaret remained surprisingly quiet as Layla tended to the wounds with steady, gentle hands. Where did you learn first aid? Lady Margaret asked, softer now. My grandmother was a nurse. She always said that taking care of people is one of the most important things we can do. Your grandmother sounds like a wise woman. She really was. Layla finished cleaning the last scratch. They are all done. You'll be fine. Ryan watched the scene from a few feet away, seeing Layla care for his mother-in-law with the same patience and kindness she showed Max and Leo. There was something about the gentle way she treated people, the way she turned tense moments into lighter ones. He caught himself smiling, which was completely ridiculous. He was smiling because a woman wearing pineapple socks had saved his mother-in-law from an angry cat. Maybe he was completely losing his mind, or maybe he was finally starting to get it back. 3 days after the cat incident, Layla had a bright idea over breakfast. How about a picnic in the park today? She suggested, watching Max and Leo play with their cereal instead of eating it. Picnic, the twins shouted in unison. Ryan looked up from his laptop. I have 3 meetings scheduled today. And I have 3 kids who need fresh air, Layla countered. Guess which is more important? Layla is right, dear, Lady Margaret said, surprising everyone. Since the scratch incident, she had developed a strange tolerance for the nanny. The children spend too much time indoors. See, even Her Majesty Grandma agrees with me, Layla said, winking at Lady Margaret, who almost smiled. Fine, Ryan sighed. But just 1 hour. And no mess. 2 hours later, they were at Discovery Park, Seattle's largest park, with a picnic basket Layla had filled with sandwiches, fruit, juice, and of course, star-shaped cookies. Daddy, look how big it is, Leo exclaimed, running across the grass. Can we explore it all? Max asked, already planning an adventure. Of course you can, Layla answered before Ryan could protest. But don't go too far from us. Ryan spread the checkered blanket on the grass with military precision, making sure it was perfectly aligned. Layla watched with amusement. You know it's just a blanket, right? Not an official document. I like things to be organized. I noticed you even line up your pencils by size. During the meal, everything was going smoothly until Layla reached for the juice bottle that had rolled away. In the process, she bumped Ryan's glass, spilling orange juice all over his dress pants. Oh no, she cried, grabbing napkins frantically. Your pants? They probably cost more than my rent. Ryan looked at the orange stains spreading across the expensive fabric. It's nothing, he said, though his voice was tight. Liar. You're having an internal heart attack over those pants. Meanwhile, Max and Leo had found a patch of soft earth and were digging with their hands. Boys, what are you doing? Ryan asked, still dabbing at his pants with a napkin. Digging a hole to hide secrets, Max replied excitedly. Secrets don't need to be buried, Ryan said automatically. Of course they do, Leo insisted. Otherwise, everyone finds out. And what kind of secrets do you have? Layla asked, curious. We like it when Daddy stays home, Max said quietly. And we're scared he works so much he'll forget about us, Leo added. Ryan stopped rubbing at his pants. You don't need to be afraid of that. But you're always working, Max said, like a robot. I work for you, so you can have a good life. But we want to have a life with you, Leo said simply. Layla watched Ryan's face twist with guilt and pain. Ryan, she said softly. They just want— I know what they want, he cut her off, standing up abruptly. But you don't understand how the real world works. I have responsibilities. Your biggest responsibilities are right here, Layla said, pointing at the boys. Don't tell me how to raise my kids. Someone needs to. You treat them like end-of-month reports. The silence that followed was sharp. Max and Leo stopped digging and looked nervously at the adults. How dare you? I dare because someone has to. Layla stood up too. You schedule time with them like they're business meetings. I'm doing the best I can. Doing the bare minimum isn't the same as doing your best. Ryan clenched his fists, clearly struggling to stay composed. You don't understand anything about my situation. I understand your kids are growing up without a present father. I understand they think they have to dig holes to hide their feelings. That's enough, Ryan said, his voice dangerously low. Layla took a breath, realizing she had gone too far. Max and Leo were hugging each other, frightened by the argument. "Boys, how about we go check out the lake?" she suggested gently. They spent the rest of the afternoon in tense silence. Ryan sat on the blanket, pretending to read emails on his phone. Layla played with the twins, but without her usual energy. When the sun started to set, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, Max and Leo fell asleep on the blanket, worn out from running around. Layla walked over to Ryan, who was still staring at his phone. "I'm sorry," she said quietly. "I shouldn't have spoken to you that way." "You were right," he answered, still not looking up. "Not completely." "No, completely." Ryan finally looked at her. "I don't know how to do this on my own. Before the accident, she took care of all this. I just worked." "Ryan, have you ever thought," he interrupted, "that maybe I work so much because I don't know how to just be a dad? Because being the provider is easier than being the caregiver?" Layla sat next to him on the blanket. "Have you ever thought about just being human now and then?" she asked gently. "Instead of being the perfect CEO or the perfect father, just be Ryan?" He looked at her, really looked at her, for the first time. He saw how the setting sun turned her curly hair to gold, how she had a smudge of dirt on her face from playing with the boys, how her eyes were kind even when she challenged him. "I don't remember what it's like to just be Ryan. Maybe I can help you figure it out." They were very close now. Ryan could smell her sweet perfume, see the tiny freckles on her nose that makeup didn't quite hide. "Layla, yes?" He leaned in slowly. She didn't move away. Their faces were inches apart when runaway scooter, steered by a child who had lost control, came crashing straight into Ryan's shin. He yelled, rolling onto the grass and clutching his leg. "Ryan!" Layla knelt beside him. "Are you okay?" "I think." "Let me see." She gently examined his shin. "It's not broken, but you're definitely getting a big bruise." "I'm sorry, sir," the scooter kid shouted, running off after his parents. Layla helped Ryan up, letting him lean on her as he limped toward the car. "Lean on me," she said. "Take it slow." "I can manage on my own," he protested. "Of course you can, Mr. Total Independence. Now hush and let me help." Ryan stopped halfway and started laughing. "What?" Layla asked, concerned. "I almost kissed you and then got attacked by a scooter." He laughed harder. "This kind of thing only happens to me." Layla started laughing too. "Well, at least it was memorable. Definitely memorable." As they hobbled to the car together, Ryan realized it was the first time he had truly laughed in months. And all because of a woman who spilled juice on his clothes and made him want to feel human again. The morning after the scooter incident, Ryan came down to breakfast limping and found a surprise on the table. A golden key tied with a red ribbon. "What's this?" he asked, picking up the key. "Your housemaster key," Max announced proudly. "We asked Grandpa George to make a special copy for Layla," Leo added. Layla came out of the kitchen carrying a tray of star-shaped pancakes. "The boys insisted I needed full access to the house for creative emergencies," she explained, making air quotes. "Creative emergencies?" Ryan repeated, raising an eyebrow. "Like when we want to throw a surprise party," said Max. "Or turn a room into a spaceship," Leo added. Ryan looked at the key, then at Layla, then at his sons, who were staring at him with anticipation. "I'm not sure this is a good idea." "Oh, come on, Mr. Worry," said Layla, sitting on the table. "It's just a key. What could possibly go wrong?" 3 hours later, Ryan found out exactly what could go wrong. He was in his office preparing for an important meeting with Japanese investors when he heard strange noises coming from the downstairs conference room. Sounds that included laughter and banging. "What the heck?" he muttered, heading down the stairs. When he opened the conference room door, Ryan walked into a surreal scene. The mahogany table had been turned into a pirate ship, complete with sails made from bedsheets, ropes tied around the chairs, and a homemade pirate flag flapping in the air conditioning. Max was standing on the bow of the table ship, wearing a pirate hat made of newspaper. Leo was swinging a foam sword, and Layla was sitting in the executive chair, wearing a makeshift tricorn hat and sketching a treasure map. "Ahoy, Captain Ryan," Layla called out cheerfully. "Welcome aboard the Whitmore." "What did you do to my conference room?" Ryan shouted. "We turned it into a pirate camp," Max explained. Layla said every overly serious room needs more adventure. The investors are arriving in 10 minutes. What investors? Layla asked, genuinely confused. The Japanese ones. The most important meeting of the quarter. Layla went pale. Oh, that's a problem. A problem? Ryan started ripping the sheets off the chairs. I'm about to lose a $50 million deal because you turned my conference room into a theme park. Easy, Captain Panic, Layla said, getting up. We'll fix this. In 10 minutes, how? Improvise, she clapped her hands. Boys, lightning cleanup, go. That's when the doorbell rang. Ryan froze. The investors were early. George will get it, he said, running a hand through his hair. I just need 5 minutes to... The door opened and George entered, followed by 3 impeccably dressed Japanese men in suits. Mr. Whitmore, may I present Mr. Tanaka, Mr. Sato, and Mr. Yamamoto, George said formally. The investors stepped into the room and paused, taking in the scene. Ryan with a paper eye patch stuck to his face from the cleanup attempt, Max and Leo still dressed like pirates, and Layla frozen mid-step with a foam sword in hand. Total silence. Treasure ahead, Leo yelled, breaking the silence. Leo! Ryan hissed, mortified. Mr. Tanaka, apparently the group's leader, looked around with an unreadable expression. Interesting, he said in flawless English. Very creative. Ryan took a deep breath and made the riskiest business move of his career. Gentlemen, welcome to our business creativity simulation exercise, he said, keeping the eye patch on. We're testing non-traditional methods to spark innovative thinking. The Japanese men exchanged curious looks. A simulation? Mr. Sato asked. Exactly, said Ryan, praying this would work. Studies show that playful environments increase productivity by 200%. Layla picked up on what Ryan was doing and jumped into the act. It's a groundbreaking technique, she said confidently. When we step outside the corporate comfort zone, we discover unexpected solutions. Fascinating, Mr. Yamamoto murmured. In Japan, we greatly value innovation in workplace methods. And childhood creativity is the purest form of innovation, Layla added. That's why we involve the children in the process. Max and Leo, not totally sure what was happening but sensing they should cooperate, gave a polite bow to the guests. Hello, they said together. The investors smiled, clearly charmed. Impressive, said Mr. Tanaka. You really do think outside the box. That's when Layla had a sudden inspiration. Gentlemen, would you like to try our innovative sushi? She asked. It's a very special fusion. Sushi, Ryan's eyes widened. Of course. Layla rushed to the snack table where the kids' fruit was. Max, Leo, creative sushi operation, go. In 5 minutes she had created sushi using banana slices as fish, cream cheese for rice, and dried seaweed she miraculously found in the pantry. She arranged it all on elegant plates she grabbed from the kitchen. Banana and cream cheese sushi, she announced solemnly. A fusion of Eastern tradition and Western innovation. The Japanese investors tried it with curiosity, and to everyone's surprise, they seemed genuinely impressed. Unusual, but delicious, Mr. Sato admitted. Interesting texture, agreed Mr. Yamamoto, and the presentation is creative, added Mr. Tanaka. 2 hours later, after a meeting that mixed serious business with creative enterprise demonstrations, Ryan had closed the deal. We look forward to working with such an innovative company, Mr. Tanaka said as they said goodbye. Especially if we can join in more creative simulations, Mr. Sato added with a laugh. When the investors left, Ryan sank into a chair, still processing what had just happened. I can't believe that worked, he murmured. Of course it worked, Layla said proudly. Banana sushi is revolutionary. Dad, you were the coolest pirate ever, Max said. And the meeting was way more fun that way, Leo added. Ryan took off the eye patch and looked at Layla. You saved my $50 million contract with banana and cream cheese. Technically, you all saved it with creativity and teamwork. I need to thank you properly, Ryan said hesitantly. How about dinner? Tonight? Layla blinked, surprised. Dinner? Professional, of course, Ryan hurried to clarify. To discuss future creative strategies. Sure, Layla said with a smile. Creative strategies, completely professional. Max and Leo exchanged mischievous grins. Operation New Mom was going better than expected. At 7 that evening, Ryan was waiting for Layla in front of Le Bernardin, one of Seattle's most elegant French restaurants. He had changed clothes 3 times and checked his hair in the car mirror at least 5. It's just a professional dinner, he kept telling himself. When Layla arrived by taxi, Ryan nearly choked. She wore a simple blue dress that made her eyes stand out and had tamed her wild curls into an elegant bun. Yet she still kept her unique touch with star-shaped gold earrings. "Hi, Coffee Baron," she greeted cheerfully. "This place looks expensive. Are you sure my nanny salary covers it?" "My treat," Ryan said, offering his arm. "You saved my contract today." The restaurant was everything Ryan expected. Soft lighting, tables with white linen cloths, and waiters who looked like they had ballet training. Layla looked around wide-eyed. "How many forks are normal at a table?" she whispered when they sat down. "It depends on the number of courses," Ryan answered, amused by her concern. "And what's the difference between all these forks?" "Well, this one is for salad, this one for the main course, and this smaller one for dessert." Layla picked up the main course fork and began eating the salad with it. "There. Problem solved. One fork for everything." The waiter, Philippe, approached with a discreet look of horror. "Would mademoiselle like to try our special dish? Grilled salmon with hollandaise sauce and white asparagus?" "Sounds great," Layla said. "But do you have ketchup?" Philippe almost dropped his tray. "Ketchup, mademoiselle?" "Yes, that tasty red sauce. I put ketchup on almost everything." "Madame," Philippe said with an offended French accent, "our chef Henri would not allow ketchup in his kitchen, not even in a life-or-death situation." "Relax," Layla said with a shrug. "I'll survive without it." Ryan tried not to laugh at the traumatized look on the waiter's face. During dinner, they talked about everything. Layla's childhood and a big, noisy family, Ryan's dreams before becoming CEO, and plans to make Max and Leo happier. "Want to hear something funny?" Ryan said as he finished his second glass of wine. "Always," Layla replied. "Before you came along, I had completely forgotten what it felt like to laugh, and today I laughed more than I have in the last 6 months. Laughing is important. My grandmother always said a day without laughter is a day wasted." "Your grandmother sounds like a special person." "She was. She taught me that sometimes the best medicine is making someone smile." Ryan watched her as she spoke, noticing how her eyes sparkled when she talked about her family. "Can I try to make you laugh now?" he asked nervously. "You can try." "Why did the Scarecrow win an award?" "I don't know." "Why?" "Because he was outstanding in his field." Layla stared at him for a second, processing the joke, then burst out laughing so hard that nearby tables turned to look. "Oh, wow!" She laughed until tears streamed down her cheeks. "That was terrible, wonderfully terrible." Ryan started laughing too, caught up in her joy. "Was it that bad?" "Horrible, but in the cutest way possible." When they left the restaurant, a street musician was playing jazz on a nearby corner. The music floated in the warm evening air. "That's such a beautiful song," Layla said. Ryan glanced around. The street was nearly empty, lit only by old street lamps. "Would you like to dance?" he asked impulsively. "Here, in the street?" "Why not?" For the first time in his adult life, Ryan did something completely spontaneous. He took off his tie, tossed his suit jacket onto a bus stop bench, and held out his hand to Layla. She took it, smiling. They danced slowly on the sidewalk, moving to the soft rhythm of the saxophone. Ryan discovered that Layla smelled like vanilla, and that laughing with someone was even better than laughing alone. "Ryan," she said softly. "Yes?" "Thank you for letting me be myself, even when I spill things and make bad jokes. Thank you for helping me remember who I am beyond my work." They were very close now, swaying gently. Ryan leaned his face toward hers. "Oh my God, it's burning!" Layla suddenly shouted. Ryan pulled back, confused, until he saw she had bumped into the side of a nearby Mexican food truck and knocked over an entire container of spicy sauce onto both of them. "It's burning!" She danced in place, trying to wipe the sauce off her clothes. "This is napalm disguised as food." Ryan, also covered in red sauce, started to laugh. "This only happens to me," he said, helping her clean up with napkins. "Apparently, it happens to me too." An hour later, they came back home still with hot sauce stains on their clothes and smiles on their faces. "Welcome back," Max shouted as they walked in. "Wait till you see our surprise," Leo added. The twins ran over with their faces covered in black paint in elaborate patterns. "We got tattoos just like Dad's," Max announced proudly. "Tattoos?" Ryan frowned. "I don't have tattoos." "Yes, you do," said Leo. "The dragon one on your arm. Ryan looked at his own arm, confused, until he remembered the temporary tattoo the boys had put on him weeks ago that he had forgotten to take off. "Oh, that one," Layla laughed again. "Well, I guess now you're a fully tattooed family." Ryan looked at his paint-covered sons, Layla with hot sauce in her hair, and himself with a crooked tie and stained shirt. It was the first time in a long while he felt like part of a real family, even if it was a crazy, messy, condiment-covered family. The next morning, Ryan came down for breakfast, still smiling from the night before. Dinner had been different, a good kind of different. But his smile faded quickly when he saw Max and Leo at the table. Both of them had huge dragon tattoos plastered across their faces. Red and gold dragons stretched from their foreheads to their cheeks, making them look like tiny Viking warriors. "What is this?" Ryan shouted. "Good morning, Dragon Dad," Max greeted cheerfully, pointing to the tattoo that covered half his face. "We're warrior brothers now," added Leo, flexing his non-existent muscles. "Take that off right now." "Why?" Max asked, genuinely confused. "You have a tattoo too." Ryan looked at his own arm, where the dragon sticker was still stuck. "That's different. You can't just go around with body art on your face." "Why not?" Leo insisted. Because, Ryan stumbled, looking for a logical explanation. "Because you're kids. Kids need discipline, rules. They need freedom to express themselves," Layla suggested, walking in from the kitchen with a cup of coffee. Ryan turned to her. "Layla, you saw this and didn't do anything?" "I did, and I thought it was creative. They spent an hour picking the perfect dragons." "Creative?" Ryan ran a hand through his hair. "They're going to school like this. What will the teachers think? That they have imagination?" Layla answered simply. "That's not imagination. That's a lack of boundaries." Ryan was clearly losing his patience. "You need to understand there are rules, protocols, proper behavior." "Proper for who?" Layla asked, crossing her arms. "For society, for their future. They can't grow up thinking they can just do whatever they want." "Ryan, they're 6-year-olds with temporary tattoos, not criminals. That's how it starts." Ryan gestured, exasperated. "Today it's tattoos, tomorrow it's piercings, then real tattoos, and 10 years later they're living in a van painting abstract art." Layla raised an eyebrow at him. "Do you want robots or children?" "What? Do you want kids who follow a preset program, or real children with their own personalities?" Ryan was quiet for a moment. I don't know how to do this," he admitted, softer now. "Raising them alone, making the right decisions. What if I mess everything up?" Max and Leo looked at their dad, realizing for the first time that he wasn't just mad, he was scared. "Dad?" Max said gently. "You're not going to mess anything up. How do you know?" Ryan asked, sitting down at the table. "Because you care about us," Leo said, stepping closer. "Dads who care don't mess things up." Layla sat down next to Ryan. "Ryan, want to know a secret? Everyone who takes care of kids is scared of messing up. I'm scared every single day." "You? But you're so confident." "On the outside. On the inside, I'm always wondering, am I doing this right? Are they going to grow up okay, or will they need therapy because of me?" "Seriously?" "Welcome to the club," Layla said with a smile. "Everyone's just winging it. Some people just pretend they know what they're doing better than others." Ryan let out a long sigh. "I'm sorry," he told Max and Leo. "Sometimes Dad gets nervous because I just want you to be happy, and I don't always know the best way to do that." "We are happy, Dad," Max said, "especially when you're not working all the time." "And when you play with us," Leo added. "All right, you can keep the tattoos for today." "Really?" both shouted. "Really, but tomorrow they come off before school." "Deal," they said in unison. "Now you have to get a tattoo too, Dad," Leo said with a mischievous smile. "What? No, I don't need." But Max had already run off to get more temporary tattoos. "It's tradition," he insisted. "Everyone in the tattooed family has to have one." 5 minutes later, Ryan was sitting still while Max carefully pressed a gold sun tattoo onto his forehead. "Hold still, Dad," Max instructed. "Art can't be rushed." "It looks amazing," said Leo. "You look like a sun warrior." When they finished, Layla pulled out her phone. "No," Ryan said, trying to cover his face. "Oh, this is definitely going on social media," she said, snapping a photo. "Layla, don't." "Ryan Whitmore, CEO and Sun Warrior, Tattoo Dad, Real Life," she typed, pretending to post. "If you post that, You'll what?" she asked, grinning slyly. Ryan looked at her holding the phone, at his sons laughing, and at the whole ridiculous scene. And for the first time in a long while, he smiled, really smiled. Not the polite kind, not the business meeting kind. A real, genuine smile from deep inside. "Go ahead and post it," he said. "But make sure the caption says, 'I'm the best tattooed dad in Seattle.'" "Now you're talking." Layla laughed, taking more pictures. Max and Leo threw themselves into their father's arms, everyone laughing together, and Ryan realized something. Maybe he didn't know exactly how to be a dad, but he was starting to learn that sometimes not knowing was exactly how you figure it out. On Thursday morning, Layla showed up at the Whitmore mansion with an unusual look. She seemed almost shy. "Good morning, tattooed family," she greeted, but without her usual energy. "Layla." Max and Leo ran to hug her. "Are we building a pillow fort today? Or making glow-in-the-dark slime?" Leo suggested. "Actually," Layla hesitated, "I need to talk to you about something." Ryan looked up from his newspaper, noticing her serious tone. "What's going on? My grandma, she's not feeling very well. I need to visit her today, spend the day with her." "Your grandma is sick?" Max asked, worried. "It's nothing serious, it's of em." Layla quickly reassured them. "She's just feeling a little lonely. That happens sometimes with older folks, and they just need some company." "But what about us?" Leo asked, looking sad. "You're staying with your dad. It'll be fun." Ryan felt something strange in his stomach. Emptiness? Annoyance? He couldn't quite name it. "Of course," he said, trying to sound casual. "No problem. We'll be just fine." "Are you sure?" Layla looked at him closely. "I can come another day." "Don't be ridiculous," Ryan said, folding the newspaper with a bit more force than needed. "I'm their father. I can take care of my own kids for one day." "Of course you can," Layla said, though she still looked a little worried. "It's just, you know, they usually follow a pretty specific routine with me." "We're perfectly capable of sticking to a routine." Max and Leo exchanged glances, sensing the tension between the adults. "Layla, are you coming back tomorrow?" Max asked. "Of course I am." She knelt down to their level. "It's just one day. I'll be back tomorrow with news from Grandma Rosa." "Promise?" Leo pressed. "I promise." She kissed both of their foreheads. "And you two promise to be good for Dad?" "We promise," they said together, though not too enthusiastically. After Layla left, the house felt oddly quiet. Ryan tried going back to his paper, but he couldn't focus. Max and Leo sat on the couch, staring at the door as if hoping she'd come right back through it. "Well," Ryan said, folding the newspaper. "What do you guys want to do today?" "Play with Layla," Max answered automatically. "She's not here. What else?" "I don't know," Leo said with a shrug. Ryan sighed. "How did Layla make it all seem so easy? How about we watch some TV?" "Layla says too much TV makes your brain melt," Max replied. "How about we read a book?" "Layla does funny voices when she reads," Leo said. "Do you know how to do voices?" "Not exactly." The hours dragged on. Ryan tried several activities: painting, which ended with paint all over the table, cooking, which resulted in burnt cookies, and even an attempt at dancing, which made the boys laugh but not in the good way. By 2 in the afternoon, desperate, Ryan decided to try building with Legos. "Let's make a castle," he suggested, sitting on the living room floor. "Layla always makes spaceships," Max said. "Today we're making castles." They spent an hour building in relative silence. Ryan was starting to feel proud. Maybe he really could handle this alone, when Leo accidentally knocked over his tower. "No," Leo cried in frustration. "It was almost done." "It's okay," Ryan said, trying to help. "We can build another." "I don't want another one." Leo burst into tears. "I want Layla. She knows how to fix things." Max was getting upset too. "Where is she? Why did she leave?" "She didn't leave," Ryan said, trying to stay calm. "She's just visiting her grandmother." "What if she doesn't come back?" Leo sobbed. "What if she leaves like all the other nannies?" Ryan felt a pang in his chest. He had wondered the same thing, but didn't want to admit it. "She'll come back," he said, trying to sound convincing. But as he tried to comfort the boys, Ryan leaned too far forward, and a bunch of Legos got stuck in his gelled hair. "Dad, you have Legos in your hair," Max pointed out, pausing his tears. Ryan tried to pull them out, but they were firmly stuck. Maybe you two can help me?" Half an hour later, Ryan was sitting on the bathroom floor while Max and Leo carefully removed the Legos from his hair. The house remained quiet in a way it hadn't been for weeks. "Dad?" Max said as he pulled out a red piece. Yes? Do you miss Layla too? Ryan was silent for a moment. Maybe a little. She makes the house more noisy. Leo said thoughtfully. Good noisy, Max agreed. That's true. That night, after finally getting the boys to sleep, after 3 poorly told stories and 2 failed lullabies, Ryan sat alone in the living room staring at his phone. It would be ridiculous to call her. It was just one day. He was a perfectly capable adult. But the house was so quiet. Before he could overthink it, he dialed her number. Hello? Layla's tired voice answered. Hi, it's me, Ryan. Ryan, is everything okay? Are the boys always all right? They're asleep, finally, he hesitated. How's your grandmother? Better. She really needed the company. Thanks for asking. Layla, Ryan swallowed his pride. I think we miss you. There was silence on the other end. Ryan, not just them, me too. The house feels strange without you. Oh, sorry if that's inappropriate. I just wanted you to know. It's not inappropriate, she said softly. I miss you all too. Really? Especially you with Legos in your hair. Max sent me a picture. Ryan laughed in spite of himself. That was challenging. Ryan, can I send you something? Of course. 2 minutes later, a voice message arrived on WhatsApp. Ryan pressed play and heard Layla singing a song she had obviously made up on the spot. For Ryan, who tried to be super dad but ended up with Lego in his hair, oh so bad. For Max, brave as a lion, and Leo with a heart that keeps on trying. Tomorrow I'll come back with surprises to share, and maybe some real mischief, I swear. Sleep well, my dear family. Layla will be back soon, you'll see. Ryan listened to the message 3 times, smiling like an idiot. Maybe admitting he needed someone wasn't so terrible after all. Especially when that someone sang silly songs just to make him smile. On Friday morning, Ryan woke up earlier than usual. Not because of work, but because he was eager for Layla to return. The boys had asked about her at least 20 times the day before, and he had kept checking the clock. At exactly 9 o'clock, they heard keys jingling at the front door. She's back! Max and Leo shouted at the same time, racing down the stairs like 2 little tornadoes. Ryan followed more slowly, trying to keep his composure but feeling a strange lightness in his chest. Layla came in carrying 2 colorful shopping bags and a small suitcase. She wore a bright yellow blouse, jeans with embroidered flower patches, and of course, patterned socks, this time with pink flamingos. My favorite family, she exclaimed, dropping her bags to hug Max and Leo. Did you miss me? So much, both boys shouted, clinging to her like she'd been gone for months instead of just a day. And you, Coffee Baron? She asked, looking at Ryan. How was your solo parenting experience? We survived, he said, trying to sound casual. Just a few Lego-related accidents. I saw the pictures, she laughed. Very stylish, confused construction worker look. Layla, what did you bring? Max asked, eyeing the bags with curiosity. Oh, this, she picked up her luggage. My grandma Rosa made some special things for you, and I brought some surprises too. From the first bag, she pulled out colorful wool scarves that Grandma Rosa had knitted. Blue for Max, red for Leo. From the second came an impressive variety of new toys. Animal puppets, a kid's magic set, friendship bracelet materials, and a portable karaoke machine. Karaoke, Leo yelled, pulling the machine out of the box. Now we're talking, said Max. We can put on shows. Speaking of shows. Layla's eyes lit up with a mischievous sparkle. How about we organize a talent show? Right here, right now? Yes, the boys jumped with excitement. Ryan, who had been watching the scene while sipping coffee, tried to quietly slip away. Well, I have a few calls to make. Nope. Layla caught him by the arm. You're our official judge. Judge? Yes, every talent show needs a judge, and you have the perfect face for it. What face? That grumpy critic face who takes everything way too seriously, she teased. Max and Leo laughed. It's true, Dad. Max agreed. You do look like a strict judge. Thanks for the honesty, Ryan muttered, though he was smiling. 20 minutes later, the living room had been transformed into a makeshift theater. Layla had set up chairs in rows, created a stage using a colorful rug, and even made signs with the performers' names written in crayon. Ryan was placed in a big chair front and center, with a notepad and pen. Now, Mr. Serious Judge, Layla instructed, you'll give scores from 1 to 10 for each act, and no giving everyone a 10 just to be nice. I'd never give a 10 just to be nice, Ryan said. Exactly. That's why you're perfect for the job. The first act was Max doing magic tricks. He made a scarf disappear, it actually fell behind him, turned a coin into the same coin, and tried to pull a rabbit out of a hat, but ended up pulling out one of the new puppets. "Score?" Layla asked, pretending to be the announcer. Ryan put on a serious face. 8. Good effort, but the rabbit should have been real. Max laughed and took a dramatic bow. The second act was Leo singing a song he made up about his stuffed dinosaur. The lyrics included lines like, "Rex is really cool, eats plants and follows rules, and dinosaurs are fun, especially the friendly ones." 9, Ryan announced. Original composition and strong performance. Leo did a little victory dance. The third act was Layla trying to make the flamingos on her socks dance. She moved her feet so dramatically that she tripped and fell onto the couch. 7, Ryan said, trying not to laugh. Points off for coordination, but creativity was impressive. "Harsh judge," Layla muttered, pretending to be insulted. Then came the grand finale. "And now," Layla announced, "a special performance by the Whitmore brothers, with a surprise guest, me." Max and Leo took their places on the stage with the karaoke machine. Layla stood next to them, just a bit behind. "This song," Max said seriously, "is about our family. And about someone really special," that Leo added. They started singing a simple tune, clearly made up on the spot. "Daddy works a lot, but he's nice when he takes a break. Max and Leo are brothers who like to have fun. Our house was really quiet until someone showed up who makes us laugh and never wants to leave. Layla is our nanny, but she's more than that. She takes care of our hearts. And that's worth a lot. She's kind of like a mom of the heart who came to stay and became part of our family." The silence that followed was deep. Ryan felt something stir in his chest. He looked at Layla and saw tears in her eyes. She covered her mouth with her hands, clearly touched. "Mom of the heart," Max repeated, looking at her. "That's how we see you." "If you want to be," Leo added quickly. "We know you're not our real mom, but do you have room in your heart for a borrowed mom?" Layla asked, her voice shaking. "Of course," they both shouted, running to hug her. Ryan watched it all, trying to process what he was feeling. Seeing his kids so happy, so whole. Watching Layla be accepted by them like that. Seeing how she had become such an important part of their lives, without him even realizing it. "And the score, Mr. Judge?" Max asked, still hugging Layla. Ryan cleared his throat, trying to steady his voice. 10, he said quietly. "Definitely a 10. Layla looked at him over the boys' heads. Their eyes met and something passed between them. A shared understanding, a moment of recognition. "Ryan," she said softly. He got up from the armchair and walked over. Without a word, Layla reached out and opened her arm to include him in the group hug. Ryan hesitated for just a second before joining them. But when Layla pulled him closer, when he felt the warmth of the family forming right there, something inside him broke. And healed at the same time. He couldn't let go. He stood there, hugging his sons and the woman who had come into their lives as a nanny and was becoming... what? He wasn't sure yet. But he knew he didn't want that moment to end. "Thank you," he whispered into Layla's ear. "For what?" "For bringing us back to life." She hugged tighter, and Ryan finally understood what he'd been trying to ignore for weeks. He wasn't just grateful to Layla Torres. He was falling in love with her, and for the first time since his wife had passed, that didn't scare him. In fact, it made sense, like all the puzzle pieces were finally falling into place. "Hey," Max said, still in the middle of the hug. "Now that we're an official family, can we make slime in Dad's office?" Ryan laughed, a real, honest laugh. "Let's take it one step at a time, champ." But even as he spoke, he knew that anything felt possible now, especially with Layla by his side. The morning after the talent show, Max and Leo were oddly quiet during breakfast. They whispered to each other, exchanged sneaky glances, and stopped talking every time Ryan or Layla came near. "Are you two okay?" Layla asked, picking up on their suspicious behavior. "Very quiet for you guys." "We're great," Max answered quickly, elbowing Leo. "Totally normal," Leo added, trying to look innocent. Ryan looked up from his tablet. "When you two are acting totally normal, it usually means you're up to something." "It's not us," Max protested. "We're angels." "Whitmore family angels," Leo agreed, making a pretend halo above his head. Layla and Ryan exchanged a look. Suspicious, but they let it go. Later, While Layla was tidying up the playroom and Ryan worked in his office, the twins locked themselves in their bedroom for an emergency meeting. Operation Parent Kiss, Max whispered like a secret agent. Mission, get them to kiss already, Leo added. They keep looking at each other like they're in love, Max noted. And yesterday during the hug, Dad turned red, Leo said. And Layla always smiles like a goofball when he talks to her. So they like each other. But they're too clueless to see it. We're too shy to do anything about it. That's why we have to help. Max grabbed paper and crayons, assuming the role of mastermind. First try, lock them in a small space. We did that on the first day, didn't work. Second try, create a romantic situation. Like what? Like a wedding. Leo exclaimed, clapping. Genius. Max started drawing. Let's make a magic wedding. With a ceremony and everything. And they'll have to kiss because that's tradition. What if they say it's just pretend? Max frowned, thinking. Then we say it's a real wedding, and if they really like each other, they'll end up kissing anyway. You're a genius, Max. I know. Now let's get everything ready. 2 hours later, Ryan stepped out of his office to grab some water, and found the living room completely transformed. Colorful streamers hung from the ceiling, paper flowers covered the floor, and what looked suspiciously like a makeshift altar had been built from couch cushions. What is this? He asked, confused. Max and Leo popped out wearing toilet paper crowns and towels tied around their shoulders like capes. Surprise! They shouted in unison. You turned the living room into, what exactly? A chapel, Max said proudly. For your wedding. My what? Ryan nearly choked. With who? With Layla, of course, Leo said, like it was obvious. Boys, you can't just organize a wedding. Layla! Max shouted. Come see your surprise. Layla walked in from the kitchen, drying her hands on a towel. She stopped when she saw the decorations. Wow, this is very colorful. It's your wedding chapel, Leo announced. You and Dad are getting married right now. Getting married? Layla looked at Ryan, who was clearly starting to panic. Boys, weddings take planning. We've planned everything. Max ran off to fetch a crumpled piece of paper. Look, guest list. The 2 of us. Grandma Margaret, Mr. George, Mrs. Martha, and the neighbor's cat if he wants to come. Music. We're going to sing, Leo added. Food, sandwiches and the chocolate cake Mrs. Martha made yesterday. And special crowns for the bride and groom. Max showed 2 toilet paper crowns decorated with glued-on flowers. Ryan tried to slip quietly toward the door. This is very sweet, boys, but I have an important call. No, Leo blocked the way. It's family tradition. Everyone who lives here has to get married. That's not a real tradition, Ryan protested. It is now, Max insisted. We just made it up like the cookie tradition. And traditions are sacred. Leo finished, using Layla's usual argument. Layla laughed at the situation. Boys, you're adorable, but real weddings need people who love each other. You do love each other, Max said, exasperated. Everyone can see it. It's obvious, Leo agreed. You're always looking at each other with that in-love face. Ryan and Layla exchanged glances, both blushing. Boys, Ryan began. No more boys. Max placed the toilet paper crown on Ryan's head. You're getting married now, and you have to kiss at the end, Leo added, putting the other crown on Layla. Leo, Layla tried. It's tradition to kiss at a wedding, they both shouted at the same time. Somehow, Ryan and Layla found themselves standing in front of a pillow altar, wearing ridiculous crowns, while Max officiated the ceremony, reading from a scribbled paper. Dearly gathered, Max began solemnly, we're here to marry Daddy Ryan to Mommy Layla. Mommy Layla? She repeated, surprised. Heart Mom, remember? Leo winked. Do you promise to love each other forever and make lots of slime together? Max continued. Boys, this is ridiculous, Ryan said. It would be ridiculous, Layla interrupted, looking straight into his eyes, if I wasn't actually in love with you too. The silence that followed was broken only by Max and Leo gasping. Ryan stared at her, processing what she had just said. You're in love with me? Completely, she said with a nervous smile. Since the day you signed my contract with slime on your hands. Ryan took a deep breath. I've been in love with you too. For weeks. Kiss now, Max and Leo shouted. For the first time, Ryan didn't hesitate. He stepped forward, cupped Layla's face in both hands, and kissed her. It was a gentle kiss, filled with all the care that had grown between them during those crazy months. A kiss that spoke of family, second chances, and love found in the middle of the chaos. Max and Leo began tossing confetti they had hidden in plastic bags, yelling, "Long live the bride and groom! We did it! Now we're a real family!" When they finally pulled apart, Ryan and Layla were covered in colorful paper, smiling like teenagers. "So," Ryan said, "I guess we just got married in a ceremony officiated by 2 6-year-olds. With toilet paper crowns," Layla added, "and confetti rain. That was the silliest wedding in history." "And the most perfect," Ryan said, kissing her again. Max and Leo hugged each other, proud. "Mission accomplished," Max whispered. "We're the best cupids in the world," Leo agreed. And for the first time in a long while, the Whitmore house felt complete. 3 weeks after the twins' magical wedding, Ryan was nervous, more nervous than at any business meeting he had ever attended. He had spent the last few days secretly planning with Max and Leo what they called Operation Real Wedding. Because, according to the unshakable logic of 6-year-olds, a wedding with toilet paper crowns didn't officially count. "Dad, did you buy the ring yet?" Max whispered over breakfast while Layla was in the kitchen. "Yes," Ryan whispered back, patting the pocket of his jacket. "And did you prepare the romantic speech?" Leo asked. "I tried, but you know I'm not very good with pretty words." "It doesn't have to be pretty," Max said wisely. "It just has to be true." "What if she says no?" Ryan ran a hand through his hair, anxious. "Dad?" Leo rolled his eyes. "She already said she loves you, and you've kissed a bunch of times. And she lets you make slime in your office," Max added. "That's true love." That afternoon, Ryan set his plan in motion. He invited Layla for a picnic in the backyard, claiming the boys wanted to test new sandwich recipes. "That's an odd outfit for a picnic," Layla said when she saw him come out of the house. Ryan was wearing a flawless navy blue suit with brightly colored flip-flops Max and Leo had insisted he wear. "The boys said it was mandatory," he explained, a little embarrassed. "Of course they did," Layla laughed. "And where are they?" "They're getting the surprise ready." In the backyard, Ryan had set up a scene that mixed elegance with the typical Whitmore family chaos. There were real flowers, a professional arrangement he had ordered, but also the boys' drawings hanging from the trees. Classical music played softly, interrupted now and then by laughter coming from inside the house. "Ryan, what's going on?" Layla asked, suspicious. "Have a seat," he said, pointing to a chair decorated with colorful ribbons. Layla sat down, curious. That's when Max and Leo ran out the back door, followed by Lady Margaret, George, Martha, and at least 10 neighborhood kids who had secretly been invited to form a choir. "Surprise!" they all shouted. "What?" Layla looked around, confused. Ryan got down on one knee in the grass and pulled a small velvet box from his pocket. "Layla Torres," he began, his voice shaking, "you came into our lives like a colorful hurricane and turned everything upside down." "Ryan," she covered her mouth with her hands. "You taught me that it's okay to laugh at our own messes, that slime can fix almost anything, and that a family doesn't have to be perfect to be perfect." Max and Leo stood beside their dad, clearly moved. "Will you marry me?" Ryan asked. "For real this time, with paperwork and everything? And become our official mom?" Max added. "Forever and ever?" Leo finished. Layla looked at the ring. A simple and beautiful solitaire, then at Ryan kneeling in flip-flops, then at the eager boys, and finally at the impromptu audience. "This is completely crazy," she said. "It is," Ryan agreed. "And you've all been plotting behind my back for weeks." "Guilty," Leo admitted. "And you're proposing to me in the backyard, in flip-flops, in front of a kid's choir." "All true," Ryan said, smiling nervously. Layla stood up from the chair. "Then my answer is yes," she shouted, leaping into Ryan's arms and knocking them both into the grass. The children's choir erupted in cheers. Lady Margaret clapped gracefully. George and Martha were grinning from ear to ear. Ryan slipped the ring onto Layla's finger as they lay there in the grass, both laughing. "Time to party," Max announced. The party was exactly what you'd expect from an event planned by 6-year-old twins. There was a cake made entirely of stacked marshmallows held together with melted chocolate. The kids' choir sang an off-key version of "Can't Help Myself," which they had secretly rehearsed. George played the guitar, a talent no one knew he had, and Lady Margaret surprised everyone by dancing with Leo. "Mr. and Mrs. Whitmore," said the unlikely officiant, Mr. R. Peterson, their retired neighbor who had been called in last minute, "you may kiss." When Ryan and Layla kissed officially as husband and wife, Layla tripped over the microphone cord and almost knocked over the marshmallow cake. "Classic," Max shouted, clapping. "Our new mom is still the clumsiest," Leo added, laughing. "And that's why we love her," Ryan said, holding Layla tight. Hours later, after the guests had gone and Max and Leo had finally passed out from all the excitement, Ryan and Layla were in the living room, dancing barefoot to soft music. "Mrs. Whitmore," Ryan whispered in her ear, "how does it feel to officially be part of this madness?" "Like I've come home," she answered. Upstairs, the drone Max had insisted on flying during the party was still recording, capturing the moment. The two of them dancing slowly, surrounded by the remains of the most chaotic and perfect party in Seattle. "Ryan?" Layla said, resting her head on his chest. "Huh? Thank you for letting me ruin your neat little life. Thank you for showing me that chaos can be beautiful. And that slime solves almost anything. And that marshmallows count as a food group. And that families are built with love, not with planning." Ryan pulled her closer. "You think we're going to make it, this whole family thing?" "We'll mess up a few things along the way," Layla said with a smile. "Definitely. There'll be tough days, no doubt. And the boys will come up with even crazier stuff. For sure. But there will be lots of love, lots of laughter." "A lot," Ryan agreed. They kept dancing. And Ryan realized this was exactly the life he wanted. Chaotic, colorful, and full of surprises. What did you think of Layla and Ryan's story?
Join the conversation. Your comments and engagement are part of the healing process. Let us know your thoughts below. If this journey of resilience and turning pain into power resonated with your heart, please support Healing Stories. Subscribe. Help us build a sanctuary of strength by subscribing to the channel. Share the hope. Give this video a like and share it with someone who needs to hear this message of recovery and justice. Your support allows us to continue sharing powerful narratives of overcoming trauma and finding peace. Subscribe to Healing Stories and be part of the change.